And we are live.
All right, thank you, Mary. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Mayor and Council, Town of Berlin Mayor and Council listening session regarding Heron Park and parcels 410 and 57. So we'll begin this evening, first of all, with a little bit of some housekeeping rules, just so that everybody's aware. We'll start off with the presentations in the order in which you see under agenda item number 2. And then we'll transition into the public input portion of the meeting, where anybody that's interested in providing public comment may do so. The only thing is that we have to take that public comment through Zoom. So if you're going to type a chat question, go ahead and give us your first and last name and your property address. And then you can go ahead and type in your question and we'll answer that. Or you're welcome to raise your hand and then we'll unmute you. At which time we'll ask that you once again say your name, first and last name, and property address. And then from there, you can voice whatever input you have regarding Heron Park and the parcels 410 and 57. So on behalf of myself and the council and everybody that's tuning into this meeting this evening, we look forward to hearing the presentations and the public input associated with this. So we'll go right into agenda item number 2, which is the presentations. And the first presenter is Tony Weig, and that's agenda item number 2A.
And also, just as another kind of housekeeping item, excuse me, I did let the presenters know this, but just to remind them, when it is their turn to present, they will be made a panelist, which should give them full control over their video and audio microphone. And Tony should be able, there he is.
And it worked.
All right, good evening, Mr. Weig.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mary, how's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing well. So
great,
if you want to start off the presentation, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me. I want to say, first of all, that what I have to say is not really revolutionary. I think what I have to say is essentially what a lot of the town feels. I just wanted to be the person who came on here to say it, and from my perspective. I think that the best interests of the town are what I am mainly focused on. To that end, I believe that what we have in Heron Park is a resource. And what we do with resources are we use them for our betterment, for our good. It also carries a debt, and it also carries some trash and some other metal and industrial things that we need to clean up. And everybody knows that. But I tend to focus on the positive. And the positive for me is the fact that we actually have land that we can use that is green, that is beautiful, and that is also fronted by some land that we could use for some other things that we don't even actually have in Berlin yet. I believe the best course of action forward would be to take a step back from the process of thinking of selling it right off the bat. And I think the best thing we could do is sort of do what is called a design charrette. And a design charrette is something other people are probably going to talk about as well. And to that end, a design charrette is something where we take a lot of people who can design properties and other civil engineering projects, put them in a room for a couple of days, look at this project as a problem and how they would best use this for the town's benefit. Without getting too much into details, I think that we can do away with the two lot IDs that we have, 57 and 410, and just forget that they exist. And then take a step back and look at that property as a whole in the best way we can use it. As you can see in the graphic over here to my left, I think that if we were to sort of cleave off the front area that backs up to the pond area and kept that for Berlin space, and then we took the front areas over here where we typically drive in, and re-looked at those areas as areas that we could design to be interesting to developers, where we could just sort of attract beds and heads to Berlin in that area. So we'd get people who live there and people who could spend money there in new places that could exist there. I believe there's other things that can exist there, like a skate park and an amphitheater and a dog park and many other little things that we could feature all over this map. Every single place on this map has something we can do. But we need to recoup some money. We need to make this more, less of a drag on the town budget. So I'm all for selling parts of it, the very front parts of it. Like it says here in this graphic, I think we should permit it so that developers know, or so that the people who come in to develop on it already have something that's permitted. Something that we have said as a town, this is what we want to see here. This is how we want to get it done. And this will be our area over here to the back. I'm practicing for the Weather Channel. So with that said, I think we take a step back, we look at the best use case for Berlin, and then move forward once the town says, that's a great idea. And the developer says, that's an even more fantastic idea. And I can make some money there, and Berlin can benefit as well. Thank you for hearing me, everybody.
Thank you for that presentation, Tony. It's a nice graphic, and we'll write you a letter of recommendation for the Weather Channel. Very nice. Thank you.
Beautiful skies and sun everywhere over here. That's all I can tell you.
Thank you for starting off strong.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 2B, which is a presentation from Livewire.
All right, give me just a moment. Tony, just a forewarning, I think I'm going to have to remove you and you'll have to come back in, but I'm not 100% sure. So we'll see what
Okay.
happens. Okay. I have just moved, and if you could just let me know, I see someone identified as Brad, B-R-A-D-D. Is that the correct person?
Yes, it should be Brad Hoffman.
Okay, it just says Brad, B-R-A-D-D.
Okay, yeah, I think that's him.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be B-Rad.
B-Rad.
Okay, you should be all set.
Okay, great. And then the screen, I'm unfamiliar, so I apologize. The screen with the presentation, are you sharing that?
I will just,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Because we can go ahead and.
Okay, you should be all set.
Okay, perfect.
Just,
Well, I want to.
oops, sorry, let me get to your beginning. There we go.
No problem.
Let me know when you need to advance.
Okay, great. My name is Ann Hillier, and I run State Ventures. I'm a business owner. I live on Branch Street, and my office is right downtown. And I really appreciate the mayor and the council taking this opportunity and letting us come and give you some ideas. Let me introduce B-Rad. He should be there if he's unmuted himself.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yep.
All right. My name's Brad Hoffman. I own a company called Livewire Media and Events, and obviously Ann echoed my nickname B-Rad, but my history is in marketing, media, event creation, event production, venue management. So over my 25-year history, I've done multiple events, worked on the Dew Tour in Ocean City, co-produced the Susan G. Komen event, own Ocean City Jeep Week, own the Jellyfish Festival. So I'm a marketing, media, and also an event production specialist. And a lover of the town of Berlin as well.
So if you could advance to slide 2, please. Excellent. So the reason we're here is because we were hearing, we knew that you all had a committee, and we knew that you had these great plans. We've seen, all the things that have been going on and the different plans. And we really felt when we started to hear that there might be some interest in selling off a piece of the property, that we wanted to come in today so that the town wouldn't lose sight of the overall plan, and that you'd get excited about it. And so we put something together to show you that the 2 constraints are, we want the town to keep this. This is a real asset to the town. And as Tony said, I think this is something that can be fabulous for all the town residents, not the handful that are currently using it. And I think that our group really can come in and do some exciting things. So the only constraint is that the town has to own the property in its entirety. And that's what I believe. There are certainly opportunities for businesses, as Tony suggests, and there are opportunities for, you know, the town council to give us your ideas and we'll take your ideas and implement them. I think we're implementers more than anything else, but we're here because we want to get you excited and to reinvigorate what all the work that you've done in the past, because once it's sold, it's gone. And so are the opportunities. So that's really where we're coming from. And if you could advance the slide 3, please. Brad's the excitement side of this team. So let him start here with this video.
So we put together a short video just saying some of the capabilities and abilities of the site. I think the site's amazing. I think it's a beautiful site, like Tony said, and I think it has a lot of different uses if explored, which would bring value and more use to the facility and the park. So if you want to hit the slide, I guess we just go ahead and hit it. And here's a little video. Let's get excited. I don't know if the audio is audio.
I don't think the audio's not on.
Okay. Can she bring the audio?
Let's see.
There we go.
This kind of just shows where we think there could be a natural amphitheater setting looking down over what is a beautiful park. These are some images from other outdoor festivals, music festivals, food festivals. There's some beautiful site right there of your event in downtown Berlin and the Fiddlers Convention, which has always been a great event for the town. Arts, entertainment, a rounding of events that fit all kinds of needs, as well as attracting some events. From my history working with other event producers, I definitely see the ability to bring in some quality events that the town would deem acceptable to the facility. I see it as a family-friendly location that can do so much for the community, as well as bring economic value and economic stimulus to the town. Not being used for major events, it's got so many great natural assets. It's got the green space, we've got some existing parking there. And once again, responsible development, I think, is on the top of all of our minds with this project. I think this region would gravitate to this facility once these opportunities are explored and brought together. And that's really where Ann and I come in, is our strengths in marketing, event production, and the willingness to roll up our sleeves and bring some amazing events and assets and possibilities to the venue. And that's something that I know everybody has heard before. Everybody has had these notes and these meetings. And I think we're a kind of can-do kind of team that can bring the light to the end of the tunnel to watch this flower blossom in so many ways. I mean, obviously we think bike riding is a big part of this. Brought some friends out there to help me film this. The natural bird watching components, which we saw in some of your studies, which were brought up, and the overall just large level environmentally friendly tourism that the facility already has access to, but it hasn't really been explored, potentially. Obviously, we want to bring business to downtown Berlin. We want to continue to make it an asset that drives economic stimulus to the town, and at the same time brings value to the whole community, be able to access it and use it in the way they seem and deem correct for what they're looking to do. So we're real collaborative and I think very open to anything and everything that the town sees that this facility could have. And a lot of times it takes all the front work that the team did, the town, the people that sat on the committees, to create a vision. And then at a certain point, it becomes the time to roll up your sleeves and start making that vision a reality. And I know from building events from the ground up that a simple idea with great strength and a community behind it is a big thing. And you can create a lot of great things, but in the end, we went somewhere else there.
It's just a YouTube. Yeah, just advance to the next slide.
Oh, that was it?
Yep.
Okay, so now I'm gonna let Ann kind of go in and talk about some of the assets that I just went over in the video.
Okay, great. what we're thinking is that we can have an iterative process. So this can become a concert venue to generate revenues. And it could start really small, and it may not make much money, but it will contribute some money. And I think that that is something, you know, it can start even with COVID. There's so much space, and that parking area is fabulous. And you'll get to our map a little bit later. It could become the anchor for the north end of Berlin. And the pictures that Brad showed in the video shows that we're very close to a very large tourism destination. And when you talk about a concert venue, think Wolf Trap or Freeman Stage eventually. So it's going to drive more visitors into Berlin and through the businesses that exist, and then hopefully new ones that are coming, you know, at this end of Berlin, and it can become the anchor for that. Obviously, Brad and I focus on family-friendly activities, and this would be one more thing. And instead of being used by 15 people, it could be used by the entire town if we can all work together to come up with what the town wants there. But there's no reason to stop and wait for more planning, in my opinion. You know, we believe that we can get going, and this iterative process is extremely valuable. We create these third places for the residents of Berlin. We'd have outdoor recreation space, and we can partner with a lot of different people to get some money and turn this into an environmental showcase as well. So I've been talking, I know that the town has worked to get the interpretive signs with Coastal Bays. I think there's a lot more that Coastal Bays is willing to do from conversations I've had with them. I got a letter today from Kevin. And we could create buffers around the outside to prevent dangerous situations with kids falling in water. So there are all kinds of things we could do from an environmental perspective. So if you could please advance to the next slide.
And quickly, just to back that up, I've worked with a lot of corporate partnerships over the years and corporate sponsors to my events. And a lot of times they're looking for an outlet for that money. And I think we want to bring that money into the park in a responsible way. Go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're talking about getting the job done iteratively. And I think that, you know, in each iteration, you're going to see more things and more people can talk, and, you know, we can bring in more activities. But right now there aren't people there. So as money comes in, we can do more, but we can start tomorrow doing concerts. You know, the bicycle and walking trails, circling park, we can get grant funding. We can, this concert and event ticket sales, I think Brad will talk a little bit more about that, but the sort of the structure would be that the town would retain ownership, and the town could use it for your events, and the site could be rented out to generate more revenue to other people, and then residents and visitors could use it. So Brad, do you want to talk about the concerts?
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, I've produced concerts over my 25-year history, small level concerts, and up to doing stuff with the Dew Tour in Ocean City, as well as doing Jellyfish Festival, where we had the folks like Styx and some bigger acts. And what you see is all kinds of organic entertainment is entertainment, bringing families together to see great music for the kids to enjoy the park, and not just music, but jugglers and entertainment and things that are really family friendly that could come there and start the process of getting people to the park and enjoying the park and seeing it as a big asset. And then those concerts grow from small concerts into larger level ticketed concerts where the revenue streams can be significant. And that can, once again, be a positive for returning revenue back to the town and offsetting your carrying of the debt at this point.
And it's, you know, I think the real word for the evening is a public-private partnership. And I think that that is the best way to get this done and to get the work started. So if you could advance to the next slide, please. We've sort of gone over this. These are just some backgrounds. You know, we're happy to answer any questions later. Together, we have more than 60 years of marketing and event production and experience, which is kind of scary. So given that number, let's move to the next one. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
This is a site overview. So obviously we think the parking area is we're trying to explore the use of the park as it sits today and look at opportunities to create this natural amphitheater, to utilize the asphalt and the cement area as a parking area, to allow the park to be a platform and a canvas for events that we would create, that the town may need to utilize. And the big word is working with partners outside that haven't looked at the venue as an attractive venue for them to come and place an event in. And that's where you see, I've been on the other side where I've rented facilities for over 25 years. I know the contractual negotiations that go on there, and I'm very versed in bringing partners that are good for the town into this site and making their events happen there, which once again, I've been a part of some events over there in the past. It brings economic stimulus to the town. It brings cultural activities, whether it's an art show, a concert, other events coming in. I think the town would really be exciting to other opportunities of people coming in and promoting and producing events on the site. And then, like Tony said, a possible location for a dog park or a skate park or a basketball, court, things that the community can enjoy, because parks are built for the community to enjoy and for them to benefit from, as well as what we're talking about is bringing economic stimulus in through some of these events that we could create. The entrance area would stay the same. Obviously, I know that you guys went for a grant to bring the building down. That didn't happen, but maybe there's some public art projects that could happen or some things we could do to try to, I know there's a lot you can do to dress it up, but I think when people see that, they wonder what's going on back there. So we want to bring them back into the park and bring them excitement when they get back there. So when they leave, they see the potential. And the amphitheater would be placed right off of the parking lot. We'd work with a mobile stage, and then we would have a placement of people to put blankets and chairs on the grassy knoll in front of that, and then up onto the hill, almost like what you've seen at Merriweather and other locations. And really, it's a natural canvas right now. And I'd really like to have the opportunity with the town and with Ann and others that have the best interest of this facility in mind to watch it blossom and see it be exciting for the community and a revenue stimulus driver at the same time.
Right. And let me just expand what we're talking about when Brad says amphitheater. What we're talking about is like Wolf Trap or Freeman Stage, where you don't have seating and you don't have people bring in their chairs, they bring in their blankets and they sit on that slope facing the stage with their backs to the ponds. So this is a natural way to have a concert today. And we would hope to extend the arts and entertainment district so that we could get funding to buy a mobile stage. And that would be the first iteration. And then you'll see more as we go through this. But I think that the grants would come in, and I think that Brad's absolutely right. There's so many things that we could do short term. I mean, right now we can't necessarily have the coffee cart we might have a coffee cart. We might not be able to build some of those things that are up along the front there. But I believe that those are all things that can come as we create a shared vision for the park and we create some revenues and we start to build excitement for what that park could become. So Brad, anything else on this slide?
Just that, I've worked with naming rights on my events and at other facilities. So once you see excitement, corporate partners can start to want to align with that excitement and it becomes valuable to them. So I'm very versed in that, where I'm good at bringing in sponsorships and naming rights. Ann is very versed in creating grant opportunities and bringing those in. So really, we're a team that can roll up our sleeves and start to make these things happen. And that's why we're so excited. And we hope that you guys are getting excited with us.
So if you could advance, please, to the next slide. So this is a really cool open air pavilion. It's something that I see would look fabulous on this particular site. If anybody's been to the English Garden in Munich, Germany, they have open air pavilions and beer gardens. This pavilion could be used for family reunions. It could be used for weddings, for everybody. And the other thing that would be cool is that I think we could get Wi-Fi here so that kids would have a place to work. If they don't have Wi-Fi at home, it would be something really interesting to extend. So that is a longer term plan. Again, all iterations, but look for a vision of a place where our community, our entire community, could play together and work together and enjoy the outdoors together.
And I think with that, and the pavilion is something that naturally would fit into that park. Naming rights for the pavilion could create the ability to build the pavilion. And at the same time, it's open air. It's exactly what people want, whether they want to get under there. And and have a reunion, a wedding, a corporate party. The kids get to play on the lawn. You put the chairs out there. You have some mild music playing. And I really think this pavilion would be a centerpiece of the development of the park.
And we could lease it to a concessionaire who could bring in beer, bring in coffee, bring in snacks. We could have food trucks. So it's a real opportunity to create a community center in Third Place. Okay, I think the next slide, please. This is everybody's, the dog park. There are a lot of grant opportunities for dog parks. And I think that this is something Berlin doesn't have. There is no place for that dogs can exercise off leash and socialize. It makes for better dogs and better neighbors. And it's fun for everybody. And if there was a coffee cart next to it, or I don't know if you've been to London, but the little police station stand things that they turned into coffee carts are so cool. You could have a true coffee cart or a little coffee shop, and there are all kinds of things, and these are built into dog parks around the country. So this isn't new. They're models, and it could be a revenue generator. If we get a big grant, sometimes they won't let you sell passes. You could sell passes if you don't get a big grant. So we could ask for donations. There are all kinds of things that could be part of this. We could have dog training courses over there. There could be many different options that come with each one of these components of the park. Brad, anything?
No, I think the dog park's amazing. I know that we've looked into it and studied it around the country, and people drive several hours just to come to some of these dog parks in Florida. And I just think it's another way for the community to gather, to get to know each other if they don't know each other, and for dogs to get to know each other. That's the thing.
Right. There's so many dog owners in Berlin, and it's a great place for people to socialize. So again, it expands the use of the park. And if we don't have the really fancy dog park to start with, but we have the requirements with the fencing and the double gates and the water and some of those things, initially, again, it's iterative. So it's something that we can work on together. Next slide, please. Okay, Brad,
this is just a slide of what can be, and when you're thinking big, you think of bigger amphitheaters, natural settings like this. You can see the water in the background here and the seats on the lawn. So this is a large level amphitheater. And like we said, originally we feel growing with a small mobile stage, getting the events and the concerts going. And then down the line, looking at something like this, where you can bring in a corporate partner, like you can see up there. It's First Security sponsored that amphitheater and that stage. And that's typically what happens with these. You court a corporate partner. They find it exciting and ideal for their marketing dollars and their revenue to be pushed into a venue like this. And you just got to start it. You have to get events going there, build the excitement, and then typically the corporate partners will be attracted to it. Once again, go ahead.
I was going to say, you can also expand, some of the stuff that's going on downtown, make it expand so that people are driven through the entire town to experience different aspects of activities and events. So it really is an anchor for that other side of town.
Go ahead.
Next slide, please.
Once again, these are just some renderings. A small fixed stage we would do probably with a mobile stage originally, where you see the 0 to 2 year smaller stage concept. Then you see it 2 to 6 years, which is a medium-sized stage. And then down the line, I don't see why that facility, and it's very strategic to Route 50 and 113. I don't see why it couldn't grow to be a major amphitheater destination for major concerts in the future. And once again, when we're so close to a town like Ocean City, Maryland, that has a lot of visitors, I believe those visitors will come to an event or a concert like this right over in Berlin.
And it keeps the revenue here rather than sending it to Delaware. And I think that it'll increase the tourism tax revenues. It's a win-win for everybody. So next slide, please. One of the questions is there's no water and there's no sewer there right now. So, think Freeman Stage again, they use mobile toilets. So it's definitely something that can be done. And there's nothing stopping us from doing small events now that can grow, and we can bring the toilets in, we can bring the generators in to provide the electricity. And one thing that's interesting, I was on Van Hollen's talk the other day about the new COVID aid package that they just signed into law. And there is money for municipalities for water and sewer. And if this is something that somebody wants, that the town feels is important, there's money out there, grant money today, or very, very, very shortly, that will expand water and sewer. So this is something that could be a project that could be funded by that. So don't think that if it's not there today, that it has to be before we do anything with the park. And that's what I think Brad and I are really trying to communicate, is we can get it done starting today. So next slide, please.
Let me just
Oh, sure.
reiterate on something real quick, Ann, is I've taken open parking lots in Hampton, Virginia. I created a big Southern Fried Festival with live music. We brought in portable toilets, we brought in generators. It was a great event for that area. So I'm very versed in taking a blank slate that really doesn't have any infrastructure and bringing in the needs to make it safe, enjoyable, and fun. And then once again, breaking all that stuff down and making it go away in a timely fashion. So that's one of my expertises, is creating big events on short timelines and then making them go away in a timely fashion.
Excellent. Next slide, please. Brad, I think.
Yep. So once again, our biggest thing was, we know that there was some people that offered to maybe buy parcels of land there. We saw that, and the urgency was there for us to try to put together, even after early discussions, we felt the timing was right, to look forward and try to establish, if you guys so deem it acceptable, an MOU in the future between our group and the town to move forward with this idea. I think Ann has spoke about extending the Arts and Entertainment District, which would open up the facility to getting some grant funding for the mobile stage, to sit down once again and look at the goals that have already been put on paper. And the planning was amazing, and the committees have done the work, but make those shared goals for the whole town, which I think everybody's on the same page. They want to see this be a productive part of the community, and then come up with conceptual budgets and revenue stream to show you guys that it can bring capital back in, that it's also something that has the potential to blossom and be a beautiful flower. But if you sell off that chunk in the middle and entertain those offers, I think that's gonna almost constrict you forever, and you won't be able to achieve the ultimate goal of the park, which is to be a whole park with all the assets being utilized and developed in a timely and also in a really productive and environmentally friendly way. And really, that's what we're most excited about.
Yeah, and where it can be used by literally everybody who's a town resident. There's something, this park is so large and has so many possible assets, has assets now and potential assets, that it can be something really cool for everybody. I think one person asked about whether there are police resources, and that would be a question for the council. But I know that in some of the events that I do, the craft beer festivals, we get, the town lets us use police officers who are not on duty, and then we hire guards that do wristbanding and watch the people that are at the festival. I don't know, Brad, if you want to address that question as well.
Yeah, I just like with Jeep Week, I mean, we go from a team of 3 or 4 that plans the event, and I'm up to about 60 people during Jeep Week that we run 4 different venues during the event throughout the town. So I'm very versed in security, staffing, volunteer staffing, paid staffing, and all the different things it takes to create a successful event, whether it's small or large. I think all the events are going to be valuable, and have a lot of potential. You don't have to have a gigantic concert all the time to please the community and make them all happy. And I think just getting started over there and creating those kind of opportunities is what everybody would love to see.
Okay, I think next slide, please. I think this is our final slide. So I really think that What we're saying is we want to work to create a win-win for the residents, the elected officials, and the businesses. We're looking at only getting paid if we generate revenue. So we're not asking the town to put out any more money for consultants or for the work that we do. You know, we have really good resources, really good contacts in the environmental community, in the business community, in the craft beer community, in many, many different areas. And Brad, with his extensive knowledge of events and concerts, you know, we're really looking to get our roller sleeves up and get it done. I think it's time to start the work. Brad?
And I
any-
think you hit the nail on the head that all the consulting and the committees have done an amazing job, and all that work that was done is vital to the plan that we've put together, I feel like. And that
Absolutely.
having us roll up our sleeves and say, let's make some stuff happen together. It's a team sitting in front of you that can do those things. And we work together well. And we also want to work with the community in a larger level way to have their vision come into this as well. So the components of rolling up your sleeves and getting to work and getting dirty and making things happen, that's what I love to do. And that's what I'm passionate about. And we're passionate about seeing this project come to light and come to life on the platform of the Berlin facility. And I really feel like it's right there for us all. I can see it. I think many people can, and now it's time to just do the work to make it happen.
I think that's it for us. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Brad and Ann. It looks like we have Councilmember Orris has his hand up, so go ahead, sir.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for this. And I also want to thank Mr. League. I didn't get a chance to say that to him and the other presenters that we're about to hear. I do have a couple questions for this presentation. So on the top there, it says Better Berlin Group. I Googled that, but who is it exactly?
It's just what we named our partnership to do this. It's not really a thing. It's just the two of us were thinking of, you know, what can we call ourselves, sort of our grouping of assets and our talents. So that's what we named it. It's not really a thing.
Okay.
It's a conceptual name, you would say. You know, Ann's got her company, and then I've got Livewire Media and Events. So we both have significant companies, but we just felt like Better Berlin Group was a good moniker. And obviously, if this moves forward, then we'll make that the official name. It was just a conceptual name that Ann put together.
Okay, thank you. And then all through your presentation, the presentation itself was nicely done. Thank you again. But I kept hearing the word excited, and you've brushed on this. And I think everybody knows that many of us were on the advisory committee for Heron Park, which was started, the committee was in 2017. And I am just curious to ask, and frankly, I have no other way to say this, is where have you been?
It's a really good question. And I tried to address that at the beginning. We didn't realize, I mean, we thought you had a park and a plan and that you were moving towards a plan. We saw the really exciting things that you put up, the project that Jim Rapp and Dave Wilson did, and the different studies that were done by different people. So we were aware of that. I think what surprised us, and where we, you know, we've been talking now for 6 months or whatever, to a year, but what surprised us is when we read that you all might be selling a portion of the park, and we felt that everything that you had done and all the great ideas that you had, and then these tweaks that we're doing, because I don't think we're really proposing anything that wasn't in part of your ideas, but I think if you sell off either one of those two parcels for development, particularly residential development, but really any development, you will shut down your ability to do big things with that park, because as soon as you get residents inside that park, they'll be able to tell you they don't want music, or they don't want something that's noisy, or they don't like skateboarders, or whatever it is. And I think that that's why we acted when we did. Brad, do you have anything?
Yeah, you know, once again, I had known of the park. I actually used to rent the park. So I used to host an event back there with Chris Cropper called Jeep Jam, was a part of Ocean City Jeep Week. And we were given the message that we could no longer host Jeep Jam there and that we needed to remove all our assets and find a new location. So I actually did have an event there. I thought that you guys were going in a direction of not hosting events there, the types of events that we discussed. So I just didn't really have the opportunity to be a part of the group. And but I always had a love for the park and a love for the vision that you guys had. So I felt once Ann and I started talking and the energy was there, and then we felt the urgency to step up and put our plan on the table with you guys. My heart, and I love the facility, and I've been around that facility for many, many years, but it just seemed like you had a plan, you were going in a direction, and I didn't want to disrupt that in any way.
And just a final thought, your group is aware that there were concept plans in existence for this property.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, 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 sir.
We've seen them.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Councilmember Orris. We have Councilmember Nichols with her hand up.
Good evening, guys. Thanks, Tony, for your presentation. I thought it was right on point, with the ideas that you had expressed. I thought that was great. And Ann and Brad, B-Rad. Yeah, guys, this was the excitement that you expressed when talking about this was definitely, you guys brought that to the table. But like Jack, I hear everything, and it's like deja vu. It's 3 years of meetings that we did as a committee looking at this, and it excites me that most of what we discussed during that Heron Park committee, you guys have touched on. But the elephant in the room, for lack of a better term, is how do we do this? How soon? I hear we say that we could do this in partnerships and whatnot. And I guess it's, the concepts were there, the ideas, the thoughts, the what have you. But I guess, and I want to be completely positive here, but what does this mean for the town? What could this possibly cost us? Are you saying that there's no additional cost to us at this point, and this could happen immediately, or once, say we agree to do this?
Okay, I guess I can speak to it because I've created MOUs in the past, and if anybody doesn't know, that's a memorandum of understanding that we are willing to take our assets, our team, our own money, and bring our collaborative abilities with sponsors, with grant writing, with naming rights, with all those things, and not come to the city with a big ask for money, but to create an MOU where we have the freedom to go do these things. None of this can be done unless the mayor and council so deem it acceptable and the community is behind it. And if that happens, then we would sit in a next meeting that we would really roll up our sleeves and design an MOU that would have the details of how this relationship would work. So I guess it's like writing a prenup, right? We get in there, we roll up our sleeves, and the real ideas now need to turn into reality and how we get those done, Shanika. So I respect the question. I think the next step would be exactly what you're saying. How do we do this? And that's going to be a deep meeting of several hours with the mayor and council to roll up our sleeves and design areas in the MOU that are handling the responsibilities of both sides. And there's win in there for us as a team, and the community as a team, and the town as a team, and everybody winning is our goal in this. And that takes details and takes a memorandum of understanding.
Thank you. I guess the other questions, if we got to this, are things that would come up. I wrote down several things, but many of them, the parking and entrances and safety and that type of thing. And I think about the Freeman stage and the one way in and the one way out. And with the one way in for this location and talking about having things, hosting events that could turn into sizable. Even looking at when we've hosted fireworks out of that spot. Not saying that everybody that does ride through acts this way, but there's a lot of disregard to safety when it comes to the people, the pedestrians walking in and out and getting to where they, where people are trying to get to safely to exit and leave. So that's a big concern for me. And I know that that's something that we had discussed before as a committee.
I think obviously in any event, and I've at the top of my list is always the spectators, the participants, the municipality, and you protect them. And a lot of times that takes a plan and a strategy of how to move those people, whether we have to use shuttles to move them from larger parking areas into the facility to find that deemable and acceptable, to create a flow of traffic that's ideal when they come in and when they go out. And obviously patience. When you get in that situation, patience is a key, and security and safety is at the front and the utmost of our concern. So it can be done. It's how you do it. And that's one of the things I'm very versed in over my history and career is moving people, moving them in and out and doing it safely. And so obviously I appreciate and condone the safety aspects of events here. And I think they would start small. So we would start with smaller crowds. We figure out how to get them in and out. As it grows, it's almost like a child growing up. We move them into the next step and the next step. And before you know it, you're moving thousands of people in and out of that facility in an orderly and safe way.
Yeah, I
Great.
think that's absolutely right. I do think too, in partnership with the police department and with,
Of course.
you know, the other groups in town, you know, the Ivy's group, and we'd work with everybody to be sure that every one of those concerns was addressed.
Yeah, like typically, you have state highway involved, you have the sheriffs involved, and you have the local police municipality involved. And they all get on this in the same page with a safety meeting and a pre-planning meeting. So everybody's together in lockstep, and then you wait for the day to come and you do everything possible to make it a safe and orderly progression of how those folks get moved in and out of your facility.
Absolutely.
Thank you. The last thing I'm going to comment on, I know that some of my friends that were that were looking at the wildlife in the area, I know that some of their concerns in the past when we talked about developing the location into a lot of the spots that we're talking about, the amphitheater, and possibly bringing in larger items that could create, I won't say noise, because noise is noise, it is what it is, but that could disturb the wildlife or the habitats that they're starting to develop there. So when looking at this, that's something that I know that many people that utilize the park right now are concerned about too.
I can, you want me to
Go ahead,
take that
Ann.
one, Brad?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my background is in the environmental field. I work for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation for years, and I'm really close with people both at Coastal Bays and DNR. And I think that what we would do would be in conjunction with experts in these fields. And also birds, as you know, in town, I mean, we have really great birds. There are coyotes over there, there are white-tailed deer, there are river otters, and they're there now, and I think that we will make sure that we protect those because we want to create more habitat. Some of the things we're looking at is creating more habitat along the edges of the ponds so that people couldn't just fall in the water, but in so doing, you create nursery areas for fish and for, water creatures. You create more bird areas. And the Coastal Bays program says that they would help us look for grants and help us to plant trees along the perimeter of the property so that we could create, again, more habitat. At the same time, we're creating sound buffers. So I think there are many ways to do it, and you just do it with the right people.
Thank you. The last one, and I'm done. I promise this is the last one. I know you mentioned it briefly, but could you touch again on putting lipstick on the pig, the processing plant, please?
Once again, I know that that's a concern of everybody, that there's a perception that when you drive by that park that you're looking at an old chicken plant, and that really is what that building is. So to take maybe some public art projects like I've seen in Virginia Beach, and pretty that building up in some ways till it decides and the time is right to bring it down, which I think is everybody's goal. But temporarily to put some lipstick on it, pretty it up and make it look like it's an inviting component to the park with actually, because of its liability, not being a component that people can actually go inside of or utilize. I think that ultimately you guys will find that that needs to come down and that needs to be open green space, or possibly that's where the pavilion goes. But I think a local art project component where those walls are painted up and people come in and put some great murals on it from some of the founders of the town, and other iconic people from our community. And I've seen that done in Virginia Beach on some open warehouse spaces. And it just really takes what is unsightly and ugly and makes it look beautiful, at least for the temporary time. That's what we would look to do.
Yeah, and the Harriet Tubman murals that they painted all over Cambridge are gorgeous. And there's there are mural painters on the Eastern Shore that are fabulous. And I know Ivy has worked with people that paint murals. So it's definitely, again, iterative process that would be really cool and be an asset to the town.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions.
thanks.
Thank you. And we have Councilmember Burrell with his hand up as well.
If I do, Zach, that was a mistake.
It's okay. It was a test. All right. Well, if there aren't any more questions, Ann and Brad, thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you, Mayor
Yes.
Kindle.
From our
We
council.
appreciate the opportunity and we hope to talk soon. And thank you for all the work you guys have done to retain that park and make it a beautiful asset for your community. You're doing a great job.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So I think up next is agenda item number 2C, and that is a presentation by Marie Vallon.
Give me one moment to locate her in the list.
Thank you.
Okay, and she should be on.
Hello, Marie. Can you hear us? I see you're on, but I don't.
Oh, okay, there you go.
How are you, Marie?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Mary, are you going to put up
Yes.
my presentation?
I'm getting it.
Good.
Okay, you're all set.
Oh, that's the end of it. You have to start over. If you go to the, oh, there you go. This is probably going to be more of a wet blanket compared to the other things that you've just listened to, but this is what is reality. You might try mural painting, but I don't think it's going to take away from what is actually there. And to get rid of that building, we've heard will cost $500,000. No one has spoke about the neighbors with the cars that are piled over there. This is all standing water that if you're going to do what you talk about, is going to require fill. Right now, children have been going into the fenced-in area. The debris from the processing plant is throughout this area. These are pictures of where the building was torn down and they put a picnic table up, but the rest of it has piping and concrete pads and underground piping all through the place. And I don't know what you're going to find if you try to take it out. Currently, there is no way to help someone should they somehow roll into the water. And no one has talked about the high tension wires running through it. Or what's in that water. How does medical people get back there if someone is at emergency? And the deserted nature back there. There's a lot of liability that comes with this park, and no one has talked about that. I'd like to read the letter that I sent to the mayor and council because it has some of these and other thoughts. I would like to tell you why I feel selling parcels 410 and 57 is the best course for the town to pursue. Both of these parcels will require much more money to accomplish the goals most people have in mind for them. No one's talking about where that money's coming from. The area is more commercial or industrial than recreational or park-like. It is not a favorable place for young children to be without supervision. At this time, I feel it should be posted within or at your own risk. There is much industrial debris scattered throughout the park. There are no sidewalks leading to the park except from the west side of Berlin. There are no sidewalks to walk from the east side of town. It is not close to the east side of town, so it is of little benefit to that part of town or to unifying the town. The fact that you would require an easement to access the park means it is not that accessible and has only one road access off of Old Ocean City Road or Boulevard, which is already too busy. The deserted nature of the back parcels has no other access by emergency services. It is backed by Route 50 and Route 113. It would be quite easy for someone to park and grab someone in the rear part and no one would know. There is spotty cell phone service reception toward the back of the park also. We have always referred to the Heron Park as the scary park. How is activity at the proposed skate park going to be monitored? Both Ocean Pines and Ocean City have their skate parks accessible to law enforcement and EMS if they are needed. There is talk now of the need for a traffic light at the corner by Cheers. What will happen with the addition of a skate park and whatever else you may have in mind for this property? The proximity to Burley Oak and Cheers and alcoholic beverages is also problematic as far as young people are concerned. The only thing I see the park is good for is to walk your dogs and observe the birds, duck, and geese. I have seen foxes and snapping turtles there too. The money the town would get for this property would reduce the debt service and free up funds that could be used for other purposes in the town. Personally, I think the whole park should be sold, but I do understand the idea of preserving nature in the back parcel. My objection to keeping that part is the same as the front parcels. Though the birds and animals adapt to the industrial nature of the land, no one has cleaned up those areas of the many pipes, cement slabs, and construction debris that abound in the back part, as should have been done before it was purchased for a park. I have no doubt lawnmowers have been damaged by the many pipes left sticking up along the banks of the ponds. If someone slips and falls, there is a danger of them seriously hurting themselves. There is no safety equipment to help someone should they happen to stumble and fall into the ponds. What is the town's liability if any of those things happen? I am in favor of a skate park for the children of Berlin, just not at Heron Park. We have to ask what age the skate park would be for. something no one has really addressed. Are we doing it to attract business to the town or to give our children a safe place for them to practice their skateboarding skills? I truly believe there is enough land in Stephen Decatur Park that could house a reasonable skate park for our young people. Stephen Decatur Park is central to this entire town. You can see that by its usage. It is across the street from the police department and easily accessible from the west and east sides of town. To me, it is the ideal place to put a skate park. It would be fun for all to be able to watch the young skateboarders in action. I am wondering, are there objections from the community around Stephen Decatur Park that keep it from being the ideal place for a skateboard park? We do not need another entertainment venue. I asked two eighth grade boys that were skateboarding back on Purnell Street near Buckingham Elementary what they thought of a skate park at Heron Park versus Stephen Decatur Park. And they said they would rather Stephen Decatur Park. Their dad said the same. He said he was at Heron Park once and that was enough. You did a poll to name Heron Park online. Why not do one about the sale of Heron Park? I am unsure what you will do with the recycler storage that you are using at this time, but I believe you can find other places. Put the recycle back where it was. I find going to the current site in the evening is a little scary. And I included some of the pictures that I included here for their attention. That's pretty much my presentation as such. I did want to comment on having that type of venue that is being discussed doesn't really fall into what my vision of Berlin is, a small town, close community. The traffic that would generate is nightmarish, and plus it would take away from the center of town. And that's that. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Marie.
Mhm.
All right, so I think up next we have agenda item 2D, which is Mr. Ron Cassio.
Again, I just need a moment to, there he is. Okay, he should be, oh, there he is.
Mr. Cassio, can you hear us? Ron? We'll give him a moment. Ron, can you hear us? If not, then we'll try to come back to you during the public comment portion. I see the mute icon going on and off, but I don't hear anything. I don't know about you, Mary. Oh, there you are. We see you, Ron. Can't hear you though, unfortunately.
You're not showing as muted, so you may just need to turn your volume up.
That's okay. We'll give you a moment.
That's right. Bring in the expert.
Sometimes the issue can be, Ron, also if you didn't enable internet audio when you first logged in. So what you can always do is log off, and if you have the meeting ID, you can log back on, and we can bring you in during the public comment portion.
You can also call in on your phone and just use that as a separate audio.
Mary, in the effort of time, how about we let Mr. Cassio figure out the technical issues, and we'll see if we have somebody that would like to provide public comment, and then we can circle back to Mr. Cassio.
Okay, there are two questions it looks like have been
Let's field those
submitted,
first.
and I'm thinking that they were actually specific, relevant to the earlier presentation from Ms. Hilliard and Mr. I think it was Huffman. I'm sorry if I've gotten the last name wrong. The questions are, what is your financial interest in the plan? And also, the town would lose their long-standing venue downtown. And the second question, I'm sorry, the asker is Louise Ash. Both questions are submitted by the same person. Second question is, does this plan include how to fund the cleanup of the park area?
Okay, so at least I know that we won't be able to, unless the presenters are still on. It's just nice to have those questions out in the open, and we can make sure that if something was pursued with that group, that those questions could be answered through that process. Mr. Cassio, how do we stand on the?
Can you hear me?
We can
Yes,
hear
we
you.
can.
All
Sorry.
right, so we're going to circle back to agenda item 2D, and then we'll pick right back up with the public comment. So Mr. Cassio, go ahead with your presentation.
Well, first I have to thank our 18-year-old Silas Cassio for helping me out with my technidiot. Well, I want to thank the mayor and council for your time. I want to thank the other participants for what they had to say and add. I want to thank anyone else who's taken the time to come in and listen to what we all have to say. Before I start, I would like to address some of the things that some of the other participants said. Marie's concerns, I think, are a lot of them are very valid, and I think that they, for the most part, can be solved. And as far as Brad and Ann's presentation went, I liked it a lot. But I have to disagree with what Ann said about selling off any part of the parcel of the property would be totally detrimental to what they had proposed. I think that what I'm going to propose would enhance that. So again, let me back up and say my name's Ron Cassio. I developed and live in Walnut Hill. Been on the Berlin Planning Commission for, I don't know, maybe 15 years or so. My latest gift, although I didn't pay for it to town, is the Berlin Library. I located that site, brought that building to town, and just as a way of showing my devotion to the place we've chosen as home. I have a simple presentation I'm going to read. Let's begin by backing up for a second to understand exactly what we own and how we got here. For those of us who have forgotten, or those who weren't here to experience it, the property in question was the site of a Tyson chicken processing facility with acres of concrete, wastewater lagoons, which encompass most of the property, and some open space. Comprises roughly 63 acres in various parcels. Much of the infrastructure remains in place, yet non-functional and dilapidated. For decades, the rendering facility was a blessing and a curse to our town. Hundreds of its employees came to town each day. Some shopped in local stores. I doubt it really paid many bills, though. The plant consumed roughly 20% of the town's electricity, helping pay some of our electric company expenses. The curse was the stench. All too often, you didn't want to be home. it was the bane of our little town. At some point, Tyson determined operating this facility was no longer cost effective and closed the plant. That hurt the electric company and ourselves as other ratepayers. But thankfully, we all were able to breathe a good bit easier. The property sat until a local land speculator saw value in it. They owned property less than a mile away, slated for hundreds of homes. But none of that could happen without water and sewer service. They saw value in the 2 large wells on the site and their permits and the wastewater treatment infrastructure that could fuel their mixed subdivisions to the west, along with other possible ratepayers. Well, it so happens that a wastewater treatment facility designed to contend with the byproducts of chicken rendering doesn't actually do well with human waste, and the permits for the wells had expired. Oops. Suddenly, it's a great idea for the town to take the property off the speculative land developers' hands. And now we own it. At the time of the purchase, we were told, despite the fact that we had no idea what we were going to do with it, that the purchase was a good deal. The other stated reason was that we could control what could go on there. But more to the point, though, what couldn't go on there, as long as we maintain ownership and hence control. So we borrowed to meet the $2.5 million price tag, have a debt service of $3 million, and are paying $200,000 a year until the years 2045 to retire that debt. We've been hit with surprises costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And all we're getting out of this boondoggle at this point is a path to walk or run around the contaminated wastewater lagoons. A committee was formed of thoughtful townfolk. They came up with some great ideas of how to utilize this property for the betterment of the people of Berlin. What we've come to understand, though, is this property is bleeding money, with no funds to bring their ideas into reality. And all of their deliberations were predicated upon the assumption that we would retain ownership of the entire site. But now it appears someone else sees value in these 2 existing parcels and have made offers. There's been some talk of selling off these parcels, which I think should be a matter of serious discussion. With this in mind, let's once again look at what best suits the people of Berlin as we contemplate what to do with our own speculative land investment. Like a developer would ask, how can we best create value in this property we own? While at the same time, how do we maintain what we determine to be the best for our own long-term interest in the properties that we will assuredly own there in perpetuity? When considering which possible parts of the 63-acre site to keep and which to think about selling, one thing we know is that the part that comprises most of the site, the contaminated wastewater lagoons, will be the part no one is going to want to take off our hands. So we own those for good. What's left is what's referred to as Parcel 57, which comprises the westernmost portion along Old Ocean City Road and the railroad track with its dilapidated masonry buildings. Another is Parcel 410, which is mostly concrete and rubble in the center of the piece. These are the 2 parcels which others have seen value in and an interest to purchase. That doesn't leave much more beyond the lagoons if we rip off those 2 existing parcels, an arm and a leg, to save the body. And with our present lack of regulation as a town in the areas of zoning and architectural guidelines, which could ensure unique character and integrity of our wonderful little town, we will be at the mercy of any new landowner that stands before the Planning Commission and the Mayor and Council. And there's a real good chance it won't be pretty for us. I think there's a way to create value in this property of ours. A responsible way to consider selling off a small portion or 2 that could begin to retire some of the debt service and fund the infrastructure for the kind of place we want for the townspeople in a way of recreation and possibly entertainment. And a way to add more commerce and housing in the form of mixed-use development, very similar to downtown. And all of this on our own terms. We just need to think like developers, smart developers. We need to imagine a way to create value in this land of ours. It starts with developing a comprehensive master plan for the entire 63 acres. Then focus on designing the parts that we and the market decide hold the best development potential. Then sell those off. But I'm going to go as far as to suggest it would be far better to take the plans we create to permit before flipping it. What very smart developers do. This way we get exactly what we want and what will likely become the entrance to the town's recreational park. We as owners have total control. We as owners are the primary regulatory body that determines what goes on there. A developer's dream. Why would we want to lose the control we paid so heavily for? I propose that the people of Berlin hold meetings to discuss all the possibilities now at hand. Then perhaps a design competition or design charrette, as Tony mentioned. Google charrette when you get a chance. 2 R's, 2 T's. To come up with a comprehensive plan for the entire property, some of which to be fully planned, taken to permit, and deed restricted. Then, and only then, to be sold to interested parties. We need to come together to work on our shared vision, one that creates a situation with the best interest of the people of Berlin in mind. Then develop a plan and take it to permit, exercising our right as owners, developers, to control what goes on there in perpetuity, even if we still sell off small portions. We claim to be the coolest small town in America. Now let's act like it and get something like this done. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions, now or later, I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Cassio. All right, so I don't see any hands up, so we'll progress to the public participation portion of the meeting. Mary, do we have anybody that would like to start us off?
We do have a couple of questions and comments. We actually have some attendees with their hands up. We also have some Q&As submitted. So I'll leave it up to you, Mayor, which you want to proceed with.
Well, we have 2 that are in the queue with questions. I don't know which came first because I couldn't tell. I was listening to the presentation. So we'll start with the 2 that we have in the queue, and then we'll go to those with their hands up. So if we want to begin with, I believe, Kate Patton, I would like to comment on the park. And then I would say let Kate and Ed Hammond in the room at the same time, and they can just mute and we can.
All right, let me. Okay, Kate is active, and I'm sorry. Did you say to go ahead and let?
Yeah, I would let Ed Hammond in as well, and then once Kate's done, we'll just pick right up with Ed, and then we'll go to the folks with their hands up. So Kate,
Okay. Kate can go ahead and begin. I just need to locate Mr. Hammond in the queue.
all right.
All right. Good evening. Thanks, Mary. Thank you, Mayor Tyndall and council members. It's been really interesting hearing the various proposals tonight. About a month ago, I sent a letter to the mayor and council. So I just thought I would read that for everyone so that it's on record. As most of you know, I served on the Heron Park Advisory Committee since 2017 with a number of you that are present. And I feel I have some standing on this issue regarding the sale of Heron Park or portions of the park. We spent a lot of time working together as a committee and looked at a lot of different opportunities and options. Of course, we were given the whole park to play with, so to speak, and other options weren't considered at the time. Under the recommendation of the mayor and the town administrator at the time to explore these innovative and forward-thinking ideas for the property, which I believe Anne and Brad did a great job of kind of synthesizing those ideas and putting it forward. There's a lot of questions I have, but it's exciting to think about some of these ideas coming to fruition. Understandably, when that funding was used for cleanup and resources to implement projects dried up, the new administration determined that the committee was no longer needed. I was disappointed that the committee was dissolved. We were told that we were no longer needed. This is precisely the time that I thought that the committee would be needed. The committee was in the process of developing low impact community events to draw people. We had discussed looking into area nonprofits to assist in delivering programs. And we are wondering, or I've been wondering, and learning now that at this point, there really wasn't coordination going on to implement any of the programming. And I was wondering why the Parks Commission was not exploring activities. It was just the advisory committee, and then it was dropped. There seems to be pushback from a very few vocal residents that demand the town sell the whole park. And I find this unreasonable and frankly without merit. There are many opportunities by keeping the park, and with the investment in recreational trails, the rail to trail proposed and being developed from the north end down through town, and the ongoing interest in outdoor recreation and entertainment, selling parcel 410 and 52 really shouldn't be a consideration. Possibly the sale of 57 could be done only with careful consideration. And I think Mr. Cassio alluded to that, having that permitted by what we want to see happen in town and designated a specific way rather than being reactive when somebody comes with a proposal to the town. We want to see something that does truly benefit the community. At this point, I encourage you, Mayor and council members, to consider the future of Berlin. And I'm happy to discuss any other viewpoints or participate in any ongoing conversations about the park. It's exciting to think that, maybe right now it's a challenge, but what this park could provide for Berlin. So thanks for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
Okay. And I think we also have Ed Hammond. So if you would like to go next, sir.
There I am. Thank you. Hi, Cousin Troy. Just a couple of observations. I live on South Main Street. I'm a resident of Berlin. I grew up here, have lived away for many years, and came back a few years ago. I guess I share some of Ron's melancholy about how the town wound up in this situation. It's kind of unfortunate, but that's where we are, and I'm not really interested in water under the bridge, and more interested in the future. Let me make a couple of statements in principle. I think that the mayor and town council are doing this right by holding this sort of event and having this sort of public exchange in the context of looking at offers to potentially buy or potentially sell part of what we've been told is a park. So this is sort of the right way to go about this. I think that it is appropriate for the town to be looking for potential buyers and to entertain what they're willing to put on the table. I also think that because we have been told, and we have declared this in particular as a park, that there's a very strong public interest in what the ultimate use is. So in that sense, I don't have any comment on the Build a Better Berlin presentation, because honestly, that's not what I thought that I was going to hear when I came to this meeting. Right? My understanding was that there are a couple of parties that are interested in buying a piece of in a piece of the land. And I still don't know anything about these people or what they want to do or what they propose to do. If I missed that and it was published somewhere, I'm really sorry for making this comment, but I still feel completely at a loss as far as understanding what the proposals are that are actually on the table. So to conclude, and this is all I really have to say, one, I think that this sort of form is right. Two, I think that it is appropriate for the town to solicit and to entertain offers on the property. But because it is a park, that's what we call it, there's a very strong public interest in the ultimate use. And we can do things like put covenants, put restrictions, you know, there needs to be a public appraisal of the buyer and the buyer's intent and what we can do to ensure that the ultimate use is a beneficial one for the town. So in conclusion, I'm a little bit confused because I thought that I was going to hear that information tonight, but I haven't. So my comments really limited, and I would really like to know who the bidders are, what they intend to do, and what the town can do to ensure that that use and the money would be appropriate for what we all see as a potential future use of that land. So hopefully we could maybe do this again, or do this with a little more public information out there about what the possibilities are and what's specifically on the table with the potential buyers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. And just to add a little clarity to that, in case there's anybody else that may be thinking something similar about what specific things the council may be evaluating. The big thing is that we had somebody, a group of people approach us about the property and the various different parcels. And this is really just the first part of getting to hear what the public has to say about something that is a park and an open space here in our town. So it's very early stages, but it is, it's not saying that that's the route that the council will go, but it is something that we definitely wanted to hear from the public about. So I hope that adds a little bit of clarity. Mary, who do we have up next?
Bronwyn Betts has also indicated she would like to make a comment.
Okay, let's take some of the hands if we can, or yeah, some of the people with the hands up first if we can. And then we'll go back to the queue. I see, looks like we have Tyler maybe on, so I don't know if they're making a comment together or. Hi, Tyler. Can you hear us?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay. My hair and makeup person was off today, so excuse me.
It's okay, you're excused.
Thank you. I just have some comments here. And I wish I was as articulate as Kate or Ed, but I'm not. So, but yeah, me and, as you know, me and my wife Bronwyn have been concerned about selling it. I think we've spoken to several people in the council by now, but you know, I was thinking about how it came. We were listening live to the town council meeting when it was announced that the town was considering selling it. And I wrote blindsided here. I mean, not to be dramatic, but we were a bit surprised. I think just like some other people, you know, we thought there was a committee and there was a plan. I think we were kind of waiting for a vision to be executed about this property. And I remember distinctly when the property was bought, and I was just talking with someone that, you know, the most kind of energy I've seen in the town, maybe ever, was how fired up people were and filling the town council chamber to purchase the property. I remember that distinctly. I was there with them. And that was a vision for a skate park and a nature park and so on and so forth. And this property was purchased on a vision. And I think I just assumed, you know, as just a person who lives here, I didn't need to participate in like ideas for the place, because I know you all had Dave Wilson's group, and I know you had Kate Patton, who has undertaken so many planning programs and execution to make our community better over the past 30 years. And I knew there were some council members on, or at least a couple on there, and some folks who are now council members. But I think my point is, it was founded on a vision. And then I thought of, like when I was a kid, I remember when Ron Barley spent the money to make the downtown lights, the street lights, had like the poles through the town. And Ron Barley was the mayor, and he bought these lights, and they were yellow, they changed the color. It was a whole dramatic thing. And I remember my dad, who's my favorite person in the world, but I remember my dad saying, gosh, what a waste of money. That looks, we don't need that. It's just, we don't need to invest this money in for something like lights. But that guy had a vision, of course, the council who supported them and everyone involved. And I remember my dad saying it was a waste of money. And now when you think of our downtown, townscape, that's distinct, that those lights are there now and beautiful. But at the time, people were railing, including my dad, were railing against that. And this is the vision. And then I saw Ed Hammond, who I've never met, but I had a lump in my throat because I remember his dad was my Sunday school teacher at St. Paul's, and him and a group of men had a vision to redefine our town with the Atlantic Hotel. They invested their energy and their vision and their passion into the town and clearly made a difference. Maybe one of the biggest differences in Berlin, as well as their wonderful human beings. But they invested time and a vision into the town to make it great. And I think the council, since this thing has come up, and maybe it's been 60 days, but all the council has done is raise the topic and kind of ask the community. And just from there, and I don't even know if a lot of the townspeople know about what's going on here. I see there's 50 people on tonight, which is good, but all the council has done is ask for some ideas. And there have been all these ideas that have come out, including people who are confident that they could make money. They can help the town make money from the place and help bring in a secondary benefit of people coming to a festival or an event and then staying at the hotel or staying and eating and dining. All the council has done is raise the topic of the park for just a brief time, and all these ideas have come up. I mean, Brad has a long history of making safe, entertaining, events for communities. He has a long track record of being successful at this. And he also has a long track record of supporting communities and just being a good community member. And all we've done for 60, maybe 2 months is we've just broached the topic. I can't help but think if we took Kate's opinion or Ron's opinion and invited the community and other people over a longer period to make a comprehensive plan. And this would be different than the advisory committee, because now we're seeing folks who come in who are addressing the debt load, right? We're seeing folks who are saying this property can make money for us as a town and could be some distinct economic benefit, both primary and secondary. And I what Mr. Hammond was saying about who are the buyers, that was another thing that resonated with Bronwyn and I. I think if there were a business further down the road, if a comprehensive plan was created and included selling off a part or chunk or whatever, if that business or entity, their mission were adjacent to making the town more appealing to people visiting, or adjacent to the nature park there and birding or whatever, I think that would make a difference. So sorry for the tangential nature of what I have to say here, but I just have a lot of ideas, and me and my family, we go over there regularly, and Marie's presentation did resonate with me. I wonder if there's been any crime there. I wonder if the town has insurance to address some of this liability. I wonder if there have been any complaints from the police about access. Those are all kind of finite questions that maybe the town council can address, because many of those concerns were about the part that we're not considering selling into the ponds. But I think the safety concerns are finite, and maybe the public safety, the police could address those. So again, sorry for the tangential thing here. I'm happy to send this to anyone if anyone would like to take this for future reference. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you for leading off saying that you didn't have a nice flow. You did very well. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's see who's next on our list, Mary.
Okay, first is Gina, no last name. I'm assuming Gina belong, but I don't know. And I'm going, let's see, she should be unmuted at this point and able to speak.
Gina, can you hear us?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
We can, and it sounds like Miss Falong. So,
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so used to my other Zoom meetings. I never need to use my last name, so I'm already scheduled that way.
It's okay. So we can hear you. Go ahead with your comment if you don't mind.
My basic comment is fiscal responsibility. I understand Brad does. I've known BRAD since I was 21 or younger. He has an incredible marketing capability. There's two questions with that. Is that what we're really looking for as our town goal? And if it is, then we need to have that separate discussion as what the vision of Berlin is actually going to be. And the other one that kept coming up was grants. We can apply for grants. We'll write your grants. Well, grants still cost money. And with fiscal responsibility, we're already trying to find $130,000 to balance the budget so that we don't have to raise taxes. You know, that's a separate issue. $200 a year may not seem like a lot, but if you're paying more for utilities, if you're paying more for gas, if you're paying more for everything else, that 200 could make or break a family around here. I counted 10 properties for sale already, and that was just walking around. So it's not that we're outpricing ourselves, it's just that maybe we're losing some of that hometown baseline of who built this town. And we need to come collectively together with a vision. As far as the park is concerned, I think we should sell it or sell at least the bulk of it. And no offense, but when you have a prominent, successful developer decide that he can make more profit by selling a property rather than develop its water views and naturalistic area, that's when you have to reevaluate our decisions. This was supposed to be passive. This was not supposed to affect our budget. If I remember correctly with the sale, this was not going to affect us, and now it is. So yes, the town can maintain control over anyone that buys. We set the rules. You have all the control at this point as to who buys in there. So set those parameters to make it so everybody's happy. But skate parks could go into Stephen Decatur Park, which is already established and needs maintenance. I mean, we need infrastructure. We need our water meters redone, if I remember. And that came with the hefty price tag. We need sidewalks on various streets. We need some of the streets redone. I mean, West Street, I don't know if you walked by there lately, but it's a hazard now. I mean, there's drains that are collapsing. So there's other things that we need to reallocate our budget for to make this town look just as pretty on the outside, on the outskirts, as it does on Main Street. I'm proud of our Main Street. It's been developed. But let's get all the other streets up to par before we start looking at bigger and better dreams. Take care of what's here now. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And Mary, who do we have next?
An individual identified as Johnny.
Hi, Johnny. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you say your last name if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Johnny Widgeon. Friends with Zach and Jack, and I know Troy growing up. Funky Widgeon, also you guys know me as. So here's my issue with this whole thing, and has been since before this COVID thing, and the COVID kind of put me on the hook where I had other things going on and I had to let this go. I see this as a constitutional issue right from the get-go. And the reason is, I think you should keep the entire park together. And I think that there's a real legal issue here. And not for nothing, I think it would be great as a park and that would be all fine and good. But the way the sale went down was 100% fraudulent, in my opinion. The mayor sent out a letter hold on one second, that would be in March 20th, 2019, saying that 5 years ago, you guys were borrowing from the general fund in order to make the budget work, but yet he was selling it to the public saying November 13th, this is according to the Coast Dispatch, November 12th, 2015, he says it's what we can afford to do. So that our days, the days when this town was constantly on the brink of how are we going to pay the rent or pay the next month's bills are part of our history. And now it seems like we kind of wandered right back into that territory. And because of the dates, it would seem that fiscally he would have known for at least 2 years that he was already borrowing from the general fund. Now, to Troy's compliment, or I'm using the wrong word there, I'm sure, but he at least recused himself from the vote, had nothing to do with it, and that's all cool. That's perfectly the way it should be. But the mayor didn't. And his property's right next door, so he stood to benefit from it. Now, from what I've got here, hold on one second.
Johnny,
Yep.
if you don't mind, let's try to keep this to the topic of Heron Park and the parcel.
This is about the Heron Park.
I'm just saying parcels 410 and 57. Let's keep.
Oh, we're only talking about parcels. Okay, well, I mean, if you sell it, once you sell that, then you can no longer go back onto this situation and deal with it, is the way I see it. So, I mean, if I don't bring it up now, then how does it work? But it basically says, was it Brookfield Construction Company versus Stewart? Says an officer who acts in violation of the Constitution ceases to represent the government. And under Article 6 of the Maryland Constitution, anybody that's in government is a trustee of government. And as a trustee, the first interest should be the people, or should be the client. So in this case, it looks like that did not happen. And I've got more and more I could drone on about this, and I will not, because I'll not bore everybody. And you already told me that basically you don't want to hear it. But yeah, that's my position on this, is I think that the entire thing is a unlawful purchase. And I think that we're in bad ground here. I think it was fraudulent, and fraud can always be revisited. But I think once you sell the property, that's not going to happen.
Right. Let's stick to the topic at hand, which is Heron Park in the future and any possible sale or.
That's fine. And you go on and continue on with what you're going to do. I just thought that I'd bring that up, but you got your thing. So
thank you
very much for all that you've done. Like all you guys, but I just had to bring up my argument. So have a good night.
All right, Mary. And who do we have next?
Mark. I'm sorry, I can't quite see the whole name. It looks like Mark Stevens. And he should have the ability to speak in a moment.
Yeah, hello, hi.
Hi, Mark. Can you hear
us?
Hi,
last name is Stevanis, but you were close. I've heard it all.
And I believe we can't see the rest of what you have, but I think you sent the council an email. I think it's Heavy Metal
Playground.
All right.
Yeah.
And go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. And I'll try not to take a lot of time. I know you guys are on these Zoom meetings and you're probably pretty zoomed out at this point. So, I have a business called Heavy Metal Playground. I've been working with Ivy and Michelle and numerous people, dealing with the town of Berlin and also the county of opening a Heavy Metal Playground in that area. I'll explain real quick what Heavy Metal Playground is, and then we come back to the parcel 410 talk. So Heavy Metal Playground is a very unique business. We provide what you could call a heavy equipment experience. We have heavy equipment. People come, they learn how to operate. Very safe environment we create. They get in equipment, they learn to operate, dig in the dirt. We have some very neat activities. They even drive through obstacle courses using these things, mainly excavators that go like 4 miles per hour. Again, very safe. We have 3 modes of business, you could say. Tourism is one. We have a location in Washington County right now. We draw people from over 6 hours away. People from Detroit, Pennsylvania, Maine, North Carolina has come just to our facility because what we do is so unique. There's very few companies in the United States of the world that does it. Our average drive time for people is 1.5 hours, 2 hours that come to the business. So we get a lot of tourism coming into Washington County, mainly because of us. We also draw groups. We've had groups from Google, Amazon, Procter & Gamble, Volvo, Cisco coming in doing very unique corporate events. The third thing we do is certified training. So we turn it into a training facility. We work with groups like Goodwill, homeless groups, homeless veterans, underprivileged youth and adults to certify them with an 80-hour program and help numerous people get jobs in the construction field from our training. So I was invited on here by Mayor Zach and you know, the topic of parcel 410, because I sent the email. I was a little late to the game of putting together a presentation, but it seems like I'm also a little early to the game of, I think, of what you guys are trying to decide of what to do with that area. So I know that Mayor Zach just said to come on, introduce myself, tell about my business. It's very unique. So I'll put it out there as an overall, whether 410 or something like that would be a possibility. Other possibilities in the area, what could we do? You know, if you guys know of available property. It's been said numerous times, many companies, many businesses will say, hey, you know, we'll bring business into your area. We absolutely could. We're more of a controlled type of thing. We wouldn't have many thousands of people showing up at one time, which we don't. It's controlled by time. So there wouldn't be large traffic, but we would be able to bring people into the area. Again, you know, as I said, to stay in the area, stay in the hotels, eat in the restaurants and things like that. I know for a fact we'd be able to bring tourism from Ocean City in many outlying areas. We're open all year round. Machines are heated, air conditioned, so they're very comfortable. So even throughout the winter time, we're open and we still draw plenty of people. So even in a down season, we would be able to continue to be open, provide training and tourism. So I just wanted to introduce myself, say hi. And if anyone ever has any suggestions of land in the area, I'd love to talk to you.
Thank you, Mark. And Mary, who do we have next?
Next, we have Amy Field.
Amy, are you with us?
Hi there, can you hear me?
I can, and I think it's with,
Can you see me?
we cannot see you, but I think
Okay.
in regard that we should acknowledge that you're the past president of the Heron Park Advisory Committee. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir, and I live in town on Brittany Lane. I just wanted to, I've already reached out to my district representatives, to Troy, and sent an email to Jay, just to say that I'm in favor of not selling partial 410, to keep the pond area natural, green, and the land adjacent to that, which really is the lead up area. If you park in the back of the parking lot, and you're walking the trail up to the ponds, you don't want to be going next to a building or an apartment, you know, or business as you walk up to the ponds. So that's really what I wanted to stress. The rest of the property, the front part, the building, the other parcel we're talking about tonight, I really liked what Ron said about it, and Kate and some other folks stressed that if we are going to sell that, we need to control kind of what that looks like, and have the you know, as many people weigh in on that being smart, strategic, and in the vision of our town. With regard to, you know, a couple other things, I'll try to be brief, because those of us who have been on the Park Advisory Committee, and I am grateful for that experience, we know that you can go in a lot of different directions when you talk about this park. You can think long-term, you can think short-term, you can think big ideas, you can think, you know, what can you do tomorrow? And we could go in a lot of different directions. And I think through the discussion tonight, it was clear that a lot of people care about this property and want more information about it, possibly a timeline. I'm not sure if the folks who are following this have even looked at all of the documents and the resources to understand what the property is and what it isn't. So I encourage folks to do that In fact, for anyone interested, looking at the interpretive plan, which was put together, I think published in 2017, it goes through and describes a lot of the reasons why the park is, how it is, why trees and bushes are not cut in certain places, where a visitor walking through might say, oh gosh, they should clear this so we have a clearer view of the water, but really it's strategic to protect native plants and species. So I do encourage people to look at the town website, at the park information, and look into some of that information. So ultimately, I think that for our town to have the green space and have the variety of parks is going to increase the value of our town and our properties. Marie, I agree with some of the points that Marie made, and that park is not for everyone. But personally, I love walking back there and feeling like I'm a world away from the downtown that I love. I love the downtown area, the shops and the buzz and the people, and then to walk a few steps and feel like you're in the woods with ponds, to me is very special and very unique, and a huge asset to our town. And I think we should be very slow to give up control of that property. So if anyone listening or watching would like, to contact me, just with my insight from being on the advisory committee for a while, I'd be happy to do that. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Don't sell 410. Thanks.
Thank you. And Mary, who's next?
Last hand up is Alexander Mitchell.
Okay. Alexander, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
We can. You're a little soft, but
Oh, I can speak up. Don't worry.
perfect.
Everybody will say that I'm too loud. In my house, the kids will say, Dad, you're too loud.
We can hear you much better now. Thank you.
Well, I became director of Berlin Skate Bike Unite. So a few years ago when this parcel was purchased, it was and I don't live in Berlin. I live in Ocean Pines actually. But I followed it pretty closely because the talk was about having a skate park and a bike park and something close to the area that we could use. And so since then, I've been working with other bike groups because it just seemed to slide by the wayside. But I'd really like to consider putting a pump track in there that can be temporary. I'll man it all summer, whatever we got to do. And it really will enhance the area. They'll have a place for kids to come and ride their bikes in an orderly fashion. We've been going to the schools and putting on mountain bike clinics. There's a group that's coming and considering coming to the area called MICL, the Maryland Interscholastic Cycle League. So I've been taking courses with them and coaching and stuff like that. But putting a pop-up pump track in there is something that I've worked with a company called Delval Designs. He's done these pop-up pump tracks in New York City, has one in Philly right now, which can teach the basics of mountain bike and BMX, which are now Olympic sports. So if we don't have facilities for these kids to train on, we'll never have Olympians. And if we really look at what we produce within this county and within our special little area here at the Eastern Shore, is we send people from action sports to the professional level almost on a yearly basis. We have new ones going up in different action sports, going on professional levels from our area. And if we don't start maintaining some bigger and better facilities for these kids to learn and grow on, we'll just stay stagnant. We got 2 from Bishopville right now that are on the world tour and possibly hitting up Olympic trials for the 2020 Olympics. And we have a simple plan that is just moving dirt around, and we can work with all the county. I've already done one for Worcester County. It just didn't come to fruition. So we can work within the county and all the environmental stuff, but the topography that you have there really lends itself to a pump track there, because you have this really quick gradient going up to the ponds, and we can use that for our small downhills on our pump tracks to actually keep them going, and we won't have to purchase all that dirt and move it around, and it can be just nestled right into the facility there, and see, we can actually see how many kids come and move around. And funding, yes, it costs about $20,000 for a track, but maybe we can get a low interest loan, or we can get a grant, or we can always try to raise money on some other levels, just because people are coming there. Now, we worked with Get Ramped and all those guys throughout the couple years after it was purchased, and it just seemed like all that stuff that we talked about in order to get the property just seemed like it was by the wayside. We got signs up that said no skateboarding, and we've got trash bins. So for the money and the time that we got a place to house town vehicles, and we got a trash dump. And that's what we got for the amount of time and energy that we put in. Now, Berlin Skate Bike Unite is also a 501c4 company, so it's a nonprofit. When we're still going through some of the state processes, but the EIN number is a not-for-profit through the federal.
Thank you, Alexander. And Mary, do we have any others?
No, there are no other hands raised or Q&As at this time.
And we don't have any Q&As. I'm sorry. All right. So let's move on to agenda item number 4, which is a discussion by the council. I'm going to take this in Hollywood Squares, if that's okay with everyone. Let's start with Councilmember Burrell.
It has been an absolute pleasure to have this level of participation in this fashion. I have heard a difference of opinions. I have heard thoughts that I have not thought of before. And this is local government at work. You folks have given me a lot to contemplate, a lot to consider, and I appreciate that very much. I don't have, well, I do have an opinion now, but one I'm not ready to share because I need to further obtain information and perspectives. But for those that put on the presentations, for those that that called in and shared, I appreciate you and thank you very much. That's all I have, Zach.
Councilmember Burrell. Councilmember Nichols.
Good evening. Like Councilmember Burrell, I appreciate everybody for coming out. When we first brought up the possibility of giving everyone a chance to discuss that at our possible March 22nd meeting, never did I ever think that it would turn into this, but I'm glad that it did, allowing the community and those that are the interested parties to come out and give their input, their thoughts on what they think should happen at that location. It's big, it's big. I was also sent a message by Mike Wiley, if I pronounced it correct, right? The Parks Commission chair. He wanted me to make sure that he wasn't able to be here tonight, so he wanted to make sure that I stated or read his statement. As chairman of the Parks Commission, I received spontaneous comments, questions, ideas, etc., from citizens in my travels around town. As can be expected, I have received in the past week various statements concerning Heron Park. The majority of what I have heard prefer not selling any of the property, with few in favor of selling parcel 410. These are mainly spur of the moment comments to me and not any specific poll, etc., that I solicited. He again apologized for not being able to be at the meeting. And, if there's any questions or in regards to what his thoughts are, or that in regards to the Parks Commission, anything like that, give him a call. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that tonight. I have thoughts. I have opinions. I have been given a lot to think about tonight. I will say, having been on the Parks Commission or on that, the Heron Park Committee, I did come into this a little biased, but having heard everything that was said tonight, it definitely gave me a lot more to think about. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Nichols. And Councilmember Orris?
Yes, well, first I have some comments here, and I'm going to read parts of emails from folks who sent them directly to me. Full disclosure, I have sent these to the mayor and council, but I'm going to read them on their behalf. So they are all residents of Berlin, and I'm just going to read, they're mostly quotes that they've said to me. So we have: in favor of selling parcel 57 and holding parcel 410 for its potential recreational development. Keep the park and parcel 410, buildings yes, parcel no. Sell it all, please and thanks. I'm in favor of selling 57, but not the other. Skate park over to Stephen Decatur Park. It's lighted, close to the police department, and the potential inclusion of the bathrooms. It's a great idea to sell 2 parcels, not the whole park. Sell just the building on 57, keep parcel 57, keep everything else. And we need to set ourselves up for success. It's a great idea to hold on to parcel 410. We need to make any part of the park sure it's accessible and able to function as a park. We have a statement here: I'm opposed to selling parcel 410. Use of the specific portion of land 410 would be to save the area to be used as town storage and extra parking area. We should leave our options open because once it's sold, we no longer have any options. It is gone forever. We have also sell 57 with contingencies of a forever access to the park, maybe some kind of indoor sports game facility. And I don't think Heron Park is a good place for a skate park or a bike trail, mainly because Stephen Decatur is centrally located. And then finally, we just got this today. I thought they would be on, but we believe that parcel 410 should be preserved and used by the town, both now and in the future. Furthermore, we believe that parcel 57 should be sold to a responsible and reputable buyer. So I do want to thank everybody for emailing, calling, texting, comments to me and the fellow council members and the mayor. Like I said before, it really does help, and it really gives us a lot to think about. So thank you all, and this was a great listening session.
Thank you, Councilmember Orris. Councilmember Nur?
There, can you hear me? Good. Well, first of all, I want to start off by just letting everybody know how pleased I am with the turnout tonight, the amount of comments we've had, the people that spoke up. I think this is how town government should work, and it certainly did tonight. So I thank everybody that spoke up. I had the pleasure of talking to a lot of citizens and hearing through email a lot of citizens. And the majority from the people I heard from would like to keep 410 and sell 57. I think the split was about 75% to 25% said sell it all. I think we need to have further discussions, of course, and look at both options. As Ron mentioned, Ron Cassio, if we sell, let's say we sell 57, we need to look at what potential development would go there and how we can control what goes there. I think that's extremely important, rather than just blindly sell it to any developer. But we also need to have further discussions with Ann and Brad and possibly Mark from Heavy Metal Playground, just to explore those options, not to commit to anything, but just to take it to the next level, see what kind of revenue we could generate from there, see what the potential is. Those are worthy discussions we all need to have. So thanks to everybody that's participated. Great discussion. Well worth the time.
Thank you, Councilmember Nur. Councilmember Purnell?
I'd like to just echo the same thing everybody else has said so far. Jay's right on. I've heard the exact same thing as far as what most people have said, as far as Cell 57, Keep 410. That's the majority of what I've heard. It was great listening to what everybody had to say tonight, and appreciate everybody's input.
Thank you, Councilmember Purnell. And
Zach,
yes, Councilmember Burrow.
I just have a couple more things to add.
Go ahead, sir.
I too received emails, and like Jay, the overwhelming opinion was to keep parcel 410. And I want to share some of what Ron talked about when he talked about what was there. I was on a council with the council chambers filled with citizens concerned about that smell and how that impacted on the quality of their life. And I'm very concerned about not losing control for the citizens of what could go there. I think having that control and keeping that control is very important. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you, Councilmember Burrow. I would just like to, once again, I mean, all the council members said it, and it's been repeated time and time again. Thank everyone for tuning in this evening, watching from home, listening to the exchange of dialogue of different views of what to do with the property, the visions that could potentially be there. And it's nice to see the difference of opinion discussed in a civil way. So thank you for that. And thank you for everyone that tuned in and presented and took the time to comment. We are at the end of the agenda, which I believe is Councilmember Burrell's finishing act in a typical evening. I don't know if we'll need the motion, but you can go through it.
I got excited. I didn't unmute myself, but I moved to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.